joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings.
Hello, and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fan-atical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio in the cozy confines of Comcast Cable Channel 23, Danbury, Connecticut.
We got the echo effect.
We do have the echo effect as the curtains have been drawn away. You can't really see that the way we got the set up, but there is a little echo in here. I wonder how that'll play out on the show, but we will overcome as we always do down here at Channel 23. And we're here from 6 to 6:30. We're back live on October 4th here, beginning of October. The year is flying by. The football season, 4 weeks over, which means it's already a quarter of the way through. The baseball season regular season is over, and that means the career as manager in Boston is over for one manager. We will get to all of that and plenty of other things momentarily, but let me just say hello to my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing good there, Bobby. What's been
After
going
a
on?
3-week hiatus.
I know, we had a few weeks off again. We can't seem to get it right. Programming note, we are scheduled for the rest of the year, so hopefully keep our fingers crossed, nothing else will come up, and we will be giving you live shows straight through the holidays into the new year, and things will be good as we keep track of what's going on in the world of sports. What's going on Spotlight On, Bob? Your show there Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. Anything special to report? I know you had that big Snyder.
Here we had our big our Southern New York Racing Association reunion. It was great. It was a packed house. It was a fun day. And it will be up on, I'll have it up on in a couple, probably it'll be about 2 weeks.
All right, well, we'll look forward to that and see what you got going on with that. I heard it was a good event. Our own Dave King is down there singing away once again, huh?
Yes.
So we'll have to check that out if you want to see that footage.
Dave even got a surprise from our State Senator Michael McLaughlin.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Came on down. Very nice. Was it a nice day that day?
Oh, it was a beautiful day.
Excellent. And our guys in the control room are back and better than ever. Mike Toohey, the director, his show Expose Cinema, Friday nights at 10 and Wednesdays at 1. And John Neumeiler is back in studio as well, running the graphics for us. His show, Saturday nights, 7 o'clock, Danbury Live, and Tuesdays, that re-airs at 11. All right, let's get into it, Bob, because breaking news happened today. Didn't take very long. The day after the MLB season came to an end.
And after
the
last
Red
night's
Sox rolled over for the Yankees last night to let them win the division. Bobby V, who was never given a chance from day one to succeed in Boston, gets the axe. He pays the price for the worst season since 1966 for the Red Sox, which was right before they had their rebirth, as baseball was dead in Boston for decades upon decades. They had Teddy Williams. They did have that one World Series run in 1947. But other than that, from like the 20s to the 60s,
it was just
things were bad. They had great players along the way, but they never had a great team. That one chance for Teddy Ballgame to go to the World Series. But this year was a disaster from day one. I say shame on the players for crying early and often in training camp. Dustin Pedroia quoted as saying, "That's not how we do things here," when Bobby V was trying to run a tough training camp this year after they had gotten comfortable with their chicken and beer ways and their clubhouse situation where they had the run of things in their country clubhouse. And they liked the soft touch of Tito Francona, and they basically didn't want to play for anybody but Francona. So if you ask me, they quit on the season because Francona wasn't there before the season even started. I don't think it would have mattered who was the manager, Bobby V or anybody else. And shame on the players for taking that attitude, not representing the uniform well, not representing themselves well. Where's the pride in playing the game the right way and stepping up for the fans and stepping up for yourself? They didn't do any of that. It didn't help that injuries mounted. The new closer, Bailey, was injured in a preseason game, spring training game. So they had no closer to start the year, and that showed right away on opening day when they blew a save to the Tigers. Alfredo Ceseves did, and it was downhill from there. They used, I think, 56 players on the roster this year, most ever in Red Sox history. They had at least 27 players go to the disabled list, which was the most in baseball in quite some time. It might be ever. So it was, one thing after another, injuries upon injuries, players quitting, players whining, players saying, we don't like this guy, we don't want to play for him. Why? Because he was trying to be tough on you. He was trying to crack the whip because you guys got too comfortable with your own selves and got too big for yourselves. You hadn't made the playoffs in 2 years under Tito, so it wasn't like you guys were perennial powerhouses anymore. It was fading. The starting rotation was a sham. Josh Beckett is a bum who got shipped out to the Dodgers. And John Lester, cry me a river, John. 2 weeks ago, he says after a start where he went, 5 innings, which is his normal routine, right? He says after the game, it all caught up to me in the 5th inning. I had been sick this week with the flu, and my legs gave out. Last time I checked, John, you go 5 innings every game. So what, have you been sick with the flu every week this year? I mean, give me a break. I don't want to hear that. Against the Yankees on Tuesday night when they were trying to be spoiler, they almost pulled that off, which would have been a crucial game for the Orioles if they had done that. But they couldn't do it, but he only pitched 5 innings in that game.
Yeah.
His last game of the year, what are they saving up for? I mean, give me a break, Lester. So the pitching staff was a sham, and the injuries were bad, and Bobby V pays the price for it all as he gets fired. It was unfortunate for him because the season went so bad, and the media, of course, loves to hate on Bobby V. The fans didn't give him much of a chance, so it doesn't look good for him ever getting another baseball job as a manager. He might even have a little tough time getting back into broadcasting, but he's always got a home in Japan. They love him over there. He could go back.
Could go back over.
Personally, I hope that he goes to his restaurant. I'm thinking about taking a run down there this week and having a little drink, seeing if Bobby V's around. But, pat him on the back and say, Bobby V, not all of us hate you. We think some of us think you had no shot at success this year, and it wasn't your fault. You really got the royal job, if you will, there. All right, so other things, though, because it is playoff time, as everything finally shook out.
Everything's done.
It took till the final day to figure out what was happening, basically, with everybody except in the National League, although I guess seeding was still on the line in that last day. But in the American League, nothing was really decided until the final day. The Yankees finally clinch, and I would warn the Yankee fans and even the media, it's just so funny, Bob. I mean, the Yankees spent a week before facing the Red Sox doing their usual win, loss against teams like Toronto, Minnesota, teams that are no good, but they get the Red Sox. They pound them in Game 1. Buchholz was a bum. In Game 2, they get lucky to get a pinch hit, 2-run homer in the 9th inning to beat the Red Sox in that game, or else it would have been win-loss again. And then they pound Dice K last night. Big deal. Yeah. So now everybody's saying, it looks like the Yankees are getting hot at the right time. Things are gelling for them. They're looking good. Robbie Cano's on fire. Who have they been playing lately, for one? And for two, they were not hot until they played the Red Sox, who lost 20 out of the last 23 games. Yeah. They had the worst September in any team in baseball. Since the mid-August, they had the worst record in baseball. I mean, I wouldn't get too big about that whole situation. The Yankees had to wait till the final day to clinch this thing as the O's were breathing down their neck. And the other thing I will say to the O's is, don't complain about the Red Sox minor league roster they put out there against the Yankees when the Red Sox put the same lineup out against the Orioles this weekend. And the Orioles got the audacity to complain that they're not playing their top players. They don't have any top players. All they're playing is kids. And they did the same thing against you as they rolled over in Baltimore this weekend. So, shut up with that one. You're in the playoffs, and the big twist of it all is
it comes down to one game.
It comes down to one game, and the one game is against the Texas Rangers, not the Oakland A's.
Right.
The Oakland A's sweep the Rangers in Oakland this weekend, and they win the division in the West. The A's, unbelievable. They were 13 games out behind Texas in mid-June. They were 5 games out just a week and a half ago.
They were.
And they took, I think they took 5 out of 6 against, or 5 out of 7 against Texas in the past week and a half. And they catch them and pass them and win the division outright, so they get to face the Tigers, who ended up pulling away from the White Sox in the last week, even though they were behind in the standings to the White Sox for really the last 3 months.
Right.
And they finally caught them and then just steamrolled past them. So it's Oakland versus Detroit, and it's going to be the Yankees waiting to see who wins, Baltimore or Texas. And the other twist to the playoff thing, besides the one-game playoff, is that the team with the higher seed goes on the road first.
Yeah.
So the Yankees will be either in Baltimore or Texas on Sunday, and then they will get their last 3 games at home. So they're there on the road for 2 games, Oakland as well, 2 games in Detroit, then they come home for 3. Not a really good setup, if you ask me, for the team with the higher seed. But we'll see what happens. And, of course, Detroit, they have the Triple Crown winning Miguel Cabrera. First time that happened since the Impossible Dream season of 1967, which launched the Red Sox into contention once again, and they basically maintained that. We mentioned the worst season they had this year since 1966.
Yes, was the greatest.
Carl Yastrzemski as a rookie, correct? Won the trip. Check your stats there, Bob. Go look it up.
He wasn't he was a rookie in '60.
All right, maybe I got that wrong. All right, maybe we'll have to double check that. But I believe it was when he took over for Teddy Williams, and then he came in.
1960.
All right, we're going to
was
double
Williams
check
last
that.
year.
We're going to double check that. But Yaz, regardless, was the Triple Crown winner in '67 for that Impossible Dream team that went to the World Series. They came up short against the St. Louis Cardinals, who also had beaten the Red Sox in '47, the only time Teddy Ballgame went there. But Miguel Cabrera wins the Triple Crown this year. First time it happened in all those years. He becomes the 10th player to do it, though.
Yes.
And he'd probably be the MVP, but it's interesting. Ted Williams won the Triple Crown twice and did not win the MVP.
Right.
And there was a couple other big-time players who did it as well who did not win the MVP. So it's not automatic. And Mike Trout, the rookie for the Angels, is possible to steal that from him. But I don't think it's
we have a phone call.
We do have a phone call. All right, we'll see what they want to talk about as we were talking baseball. Hello, caller. You are on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Scott.
How you doing?
Hey, do you get a buzz when you're watching sports? Only if you drink a lot of beer, right? Hey, listen, 2 questions.
Of course, always.
Well, the second question, that's my little joke.
That's all right. We're a
do you
comedy
think Bobby
buzz.
Valentine will be back next year? And what do you think about the knuckleballer in the Mets uniform? Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for the call. We'll touch on that. Maybe the caller wasn't listening at the top of the show as we talked about Bobby V, who has been fired. So he is not coming back. I think he got royally screwed, but that's my opinion. So Bobby V does not get a second chance. He does not get to see what they can do with all that money they saved with that big trade at midseason. The team's going to take on some new players, I'm sure, but he will not be back for that. And as far as the Mets, R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer, winning 20 games, I like his chances to win the Cy Young. Bob, what do you think about that?
I think he will win the Cy Young.
I mean, Gio Gonzalez for the Nats, I think, is the top contender. Of course, the Nats are going to the playoffs, and the Nats have their own issues going on heading into the playoffs. So they did not finish the season well. They've got that Strasburg situation. The team really seemed to, struggle once they pulled him out of the rotation. I don't know if it was a mental thing, if they're down on their team for pulling him out as they protect his arm, the Strasburg sensation. But it's going to be between Gio and Dickey. Yeah. I like Dickey. I think, the numbers overall are pretty even. You could give it the edge to Gonzalez because he's on a winning team and the Mets were not. But we will see what happens. That award will come, in the upcoming weeks. But obviously, it was a great year for Dickey.
Yeah,
and a great job by him.
22 years to win
20 games. So they had the no-hitter this year by Johan, and they also get the 20-game winner, maybe Cy Young winner.
One more.
What's that?
David Wright.
And David Wright became the all-time hits leader in Mets history. That's right. They did get that too. So there were some good things going on, even though there was a lot of bad things.
Well,
for
hey,
the Amazing.
hey, but we
All
finished.
right, we got to wrap
fourth
some of
place,
this
so-
baseball stuff up quick. So National League, it's Cards versus Braves in the one-game playoff. The Braves have been very good. I like their chances, but it could be our boy Chipper Jones, his final game if they were to lose. And then it's the Giants and the Reds. That matchup is already set. I believe the Giants are at the Reds Saturday.
Right.
And then the Nats are waiting the winner of the Cards and Braves. So a lot of baseball stuff. Playoffs will be going on. We'll be touching on that as it goes in the upcoming weeks. I do want to mention, how'd that trade work out for the Dodgers? Donnie Baseball? Not so good. As they miss out on the playoffs and they got all that salary to deal with for all these coming years. And also the Angels were the big offseason splash. That didn't work out good. The Marlins, they melted down, and Ozzie Guillen might be out in Miami. That didn't work out too good. And my favorite manager, Joe Madden. Stay classy down there in Tampa Bay, Joe. Sorry. Another year without a World Series for you. No playoff run. All right, quick on football, college football before we get to the NFL. UConn, they're not looking so great, but they did have the big win down in Maryland against old friend Randy Edsall, as they said. Hello, Randy. How you doing down there? Big win there. They struggled, lost against Western Michigan. They did bounce back, held off Buffalo last week. Not too impressively, but they are 3-2 as they head into Big East play. They're at Rutgers this Saturday. My Colorado State team stinks. That's all you needed to know about that. Other college news, Florida State looks like maybe they're for real, offensively at least.
We have Mr. Gallagher on line 1.
We have a phone call, all right. Let's see what we got. As we were talking college football, but I'm sure he's going to want to talk NFL if it is the one and only Kevin Gallagher. Hello, Kevin Gallagher. Is this the one and only? How you doing?
Yeah, you guys are breaking up on my phone, but I wanted to talk a little NFL if it was all right.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just getting to it. What do you got on your mind?
Oh, well, you haven't been on the air. You haven't been on the air in a couple of weeks, and the whole thing with the referees that finally ended, and everybody got a chance to see just how pathetic that whole situation was when you had the NFL actually hiring fired referees from the lingerie football league. I mean, you can't make that stuff up.
I know. If it was a movie script, you wouldn't buy it because you'd say it's unbelievable that they would actually do that, bring in such unqualified refs, that they were incompetent beyond words.
It was really bad. I mean, just horrible.
And there we see the photo right here. We're watching it of the ending of what was the last game for the replacement refs against the Seahawks and the Packers, which gave the Seahawks a win on what was an interception in the end zone, and it gave the Packers a loss as they ruled a touchdown. And of course, the night before, as the controversy stirred up with the field goal that was no good in Baltimore that they ruled good, which had the Ravens coming back to beat the Patriots, and the Patriots came away with a loss in that game, and that started it, and then the game in Seattle ended it.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to talk about NFL-wise, Kevin? Do we still have them?
Well, yeah. I mean, just when you look at what the NFL did there with that referee lockout, I mean, it really made it very clear to me that the owners just did not really take any stock or care in the quality of their product that they were putting out on the field. And they just thought they could hire guys from wherever, bring them out there, and it wouldn't affect the quality of the game. And we can see that was just a horribly wrong point of view.
Yeah, they couldn't keep up with the pace of it.
Scott, when you look at the fact, you see interviews with any rookie that comes into the league. I don't care what position they play. What's the first word they hear out of their mouth? I can't believe how fast the game is.
Exactly.
And you got these refs from these lower college programs, lingerie football league. It's running at a much slower rate of speed. And how many times did you see these guys looking at each other going, "What did you see? I don't know." They're trying to compare notes because they could not adjust to the speed of the game.
Yeah, they couldn't spot the ball correctly. And they also, I don't think they didn't know the rules either, Kevin. You could see clearly they did not know how to call a pass interference play. They were calling defensive holding downfield when there was none, offensive holding on blocks that were clean downfield on plays. I mean, in that Ravens-Patriots game, there were 26 penalties called. 13 first downs were given because of bogus penalties. it ruined the game completely, and it was really just a total sham, and it really affected the first 3 weeks of the season in a big way. So it was a total fiasco, and it was just really a shame that the refs would take that, or the owners would take that stand and hang the players and the fans out to dry and fight over this money. The interesting thing about the strike, because this happened once before, and previously they were able to use the top college referees, but this year the union said do not cross the picket line. So they were not able to bring in the top college refs to substitute, and that was a big factor. I think the two calls, the field goal and the interception that took place in the end zone, were the final straw, but I think the other thing that was the big factor in them ending the strike was the fact that the bye weeks were starting, and they could not have teams starting to get less games played with the replacement refs. The Steelers and the Colts would have not had to play this weekend, and other teams would have, and that would have started to be an unfair advantage as well. All right, Kevin, we got to get to the rest of the football stuff. Thanks for giving a call. We appreciate that.
Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll bag the rest of that college football. We'll get to that next week. Let's talk about the Jets, Bob.
You mean
as they had the
as
big
their
crash
season goes
landing this past week against San Francisco. It was quite pathetic in what took place there as they fell apart.
Oh.
And in fact, the San Fran players said they quit in that game as they were shut out. They had already lost Revis in that lucky win down in Miami, overtime win the week before, when Miami missed a couple field goals. They blocked a field goal, but their coach called a timeout on.
Yeah,
so they were lucky to win down there in Miami. They come home and get shellacked by San Fran.
Yeah.
And Santonio Holmes goes down, so now their wide receiver is gone, and their cornerback is gone, and their quarterback is about to be gone as Sanchez, the writing's on the wall. I would almost bet you anything it'll be a primetime T showing this week.
You mean Mr. Tebow will be out and
It'll
running?
be a T showing on Monday night when they play Houston and they're getting killed. Tebow is going to take over the starting job for Sanchez. The only problem is they can make a QB switch all they want.
Right.
They have no weapons.
Right.
The rookie receiver, Stephen Hill's out. The tight end has been out as well. So they don't have any weapons. The running back situation is weak. There's no win situation. So they're going to put Tebow in, but he's going to have nothing to deal with. So it's just a horrible job by them. Rex is furious, but, too bad, sexy Rexy. You've run your yap so much time. No one's going to feel pity for you. The Jets season is over here.
And this is going to be on prime time on Monday night to watch them really get blown
It's
out.
going to be a T showing. All right, let's move to some other NFL stuff. We were talking about the Patriots and that loss to the Ravens. It was the first time that they were below 500, Bob, since 2003.
That's
The longest
unbelievable.
such streak ever in the history of the NFL. They fell to 1-2. They bounced back with a big win in Buffalo last weekend. They were down 21-7 early in the third quarter, and then they ran off 45 straight points to win that game going away. They get the Denver Broncos at home this weekend in Foxborough as the rivalry is renewed. Peyton Manning and his new team, Denver, comes to Foxborough to see Tom Brady, his old friend, and we'll see what happens there. Brady is starting to look like he's gelling with Brandon Lloyd, which is a big deal. Aaron Hernandez is still out, but he'll be back, I think, within the next couple weeks. They got two running backs looking very good right now. We knew that Stephen Ridley was going to be good, but this kid, Brandon Bolin, has played very well. So they got two big young running backs looking sharp. The defense still has some question marks. I'm going to throw away that Baltimore game because the officiating was horrendous and there was a lot of penalties called in that game against them. That was a joke. So we'll see what happens there. Your G-men, Bob, are a little up and down. They start the year with a dud against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Then they win a couple games that were, not so good. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then they get the dud against Philly on Sunday night.
Yeah.
0-2 in the division, Bob. What do you have to say about that?
I don't have much to say.
They got the Browns this Sunday. We'll see what happens there. They're a little shaky right now. They do have some of their own injury situations. But we know the G-Men story. Doesn't really matter. They can finish
we'll pull it out by
9-7
Flyers.
and then get lucky and win the Super Bowl again. luckiest team in the history
Well,
of the
no,
NFL.
that's every other year.
In the NFL, Bob, Arizona Cardinals, who happen to play tonight, by the way, against another surprising team, Tricky Fisher and the St. Louis Rams.
Ooh.
The Cardinals, with Kevin Kolb 4-0, pulled out a squeaker against Miami, who's been a tough luck team, losing 2 overtime games in the past 2 weeks. And the Rams, 2-2, could easily be 3-1. They lost week 1 against the Lions, you remember, who scored in the final minutes to win that game. So the Rams have looked kind of tough, Bob.
Yeah.
And Arizona, of course, 4-0, surprising, maybe the most surprising team. And the NFC West is the most surprising division. San Fran, we know, is good at 3-1. And then Seattle, 2-2. And it's all about defense out west right now, as all those teams are playing very tough defensively. Other surprises, the Cincinnati Bengals, 3-1, building off last year and playing well in the division with the Ravens, tied 3-1. The Steelers, 1-2, and they get the Eagles this weekend, and they hope to get all their players back. As Harrison hasn't played yet, it looks like he's going to play. Polamalu played week 1, but he's been out. I'm not sure if he's coming back. And their running back, Mendenhall, is playing this weekend. So they're getting a few key players back. They did have their bye week already. We'll see if the Steelers can bounce back in that nutmeg state. Is it a nutmeg state? What's Pennsylvania?
No,
we're the nutmeg
We're the nutmeg state.
I don't know, whatever they call Pennsylvania these days. But that is a division, a stateside rival game. Other surprises, the Chargers, 3-1. They'll tank at some point.
Yeah.
The Broncos, 2-2. The Raiders stink out west, and the Sheffies, Kevin Gallagher's team, they also stink right
What
now.
about that team out in, where is it? The Saints?
The Saints, who happen to play the Chargers this weekend.
Yeah.
And it's Drew Brees. Remember, this has been a while now, but if you remember, Drew Brees was with the Chargers. They decided they wanted Phillip Rivers. They went in that direction. And it's Brees who's been awesome, winning a Super Bowl for New Orleans. But Bountygate has taken the wind out of their sails. No marching down in New Orleans right now.
No.
0-4. They missed a field goal in Green Bay this weekend that would have won it and could have sent the Packers to 1-3. Unbelievable. The Packers do not look that impressive, but they still hanging around at 2-2. We stick back to the AFC real quick. The Texans look like the top team at 4-0. Another team that looks great is the Falcons, 4-0, as they pulled out a win against the Panthers. Going back to the Packers division, the Vikings, another very surprising team at 3-1. The Lions, 1-3, Bob. What is going on in Detroit?
I don't know.
I'm going to have to cue up David Bowie, and Panic in Detroit is going to be the new theme song going on there. And the Bears are 3-1 with an impressive win over the Cowboys, who look very unimpressive at 2-2, Bob. So, you know, that's pretty much the NFL story. We're going to dive deeper into that. We have playoff baseball to talk about, but we're back in action. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the calls. We'll be here next week, and we'll talk about it all once again. And good luck to you, Bobby V. I hope that drink goes down.
And the Whalers will start October 25th.
Bob had to get it in. The Whalers. We'll start talking about them soon. All right, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.